Edwin Howard Armstrong. He may be the most powerful, most impactful person in radio broadcasting as we know it. His discoveries and inventions paved the way for the future with regeneration and oscillation through the audion tube, the super heterodyne receiver, and frequency modulation. Here's Michael starting us off with The Legacy of Edwin Howard Armstrong.
Edwin Howard Armstrong was born in 1890 with a strong determination to prove himself. From childhood, he was very passionate about radio, even putting an antenna on his family's lawn at 14 years of age. His passion for it evolved when he went to Columbia University, where his arrogant, headstrong attitude might have been considered insubordinate to some, but which his professors saw as a spark for his desire to discover more. This spark led him to create inventions that changed not just the world of radio, but also the history of the world as we know it. It's unfortunate to know he did not live to see his greatest inventions have the impact they have had on the world, but people still honor his memory through advancing upon the technology he made. Armstrong's first discovery occurred when he was a student at Columbia University, which was the secret to how Lee DeForest's audion tube worked. He took it upon himself to modify the existing audion tube by taking the electromagnetic radio waves and repeatedly feeding and pushing them back into the tube. He did this about 20,000 times during one experiment. The result was that every time these waves were fed back into the tube, the power of the radio signal would increase by about 20,000 times a second.
It's over 9,000! What, 9,000?
This process, which Armstrong called regeneration, was a brilliant discovery that forever changed the radio industry, as more stations were able to more efficiently broadcast their radio signals within a single circuit that used the audion tube's modification rather tthan depend on massive power generators to be able to generate all of that. It was much more convenient to just use that circuit rather than carry around 20-ton generators. He also discovered that when the signal fed back into the tube, it went beyond the highest level. The audion tube would create its own radio wave through a process called oscillation. This made it possible for the audion tube to transmit and receive information, which made it much more useful as a communication device. However, Lee DeForest, while he invented the audion tube, he didn't know that regeneration was a beneficial part of controlling radio signals until Armstrong discovered regeneration. As when Lee DeForest created the audion tube, regeneration only came out to him as a loud noise when he accidentally misplaced circuits during his creation of the audion tube. However, the response he made to that was not right. When Armstrong discovered regeneration, Lee DeForest claimed that discovery to be his discovery, and this led to a massive legal battle that lasted for years over the patent rights to who was the rightful creator of regeneration and the regenerative circuit. This thankfully ended with Armstrong getting the credit he deserved, as he had invented a circuit that would forever change the radio industry as we know it.
Armstrong served in the U.S. military in the Army Signal Corps and was stationed in Paris, designing wireless receivers for airplanes. It was during a night bombing raid that he started thinking about the high-frequency radio waves produced by the motor ignition systems in the airplanes, and what would happen if he combined them with the high-frequency radio waves that he could create in a receiver. And bam!
Jan Ha!
Yes, you're doing it! Stay with it! Whoa, it worked!
That was it. The idea for the super heterodyne receiver was born. By mixing the radio signal and a signal within the receiver, he could create an intermediate frequency, a frequency that was more stable and easier to use and amplify for listening. The equipment in the receiver could then be optimized to amplify that intermediate frequency instead of the multitude of different radio frequencies. Even today, radios use the super heterodyne baseline method and intermediate frequencies. AM uses 455 kilohertz and FM uses 10.7 megahertz. So clearly the idea stuck, and Armstrong once again left his enormous impact on the history of radio broadcasting.
It's the late 1930s, and you're sitting by the radio listening to your favorite suspenseful radio drama, The Shadow. And you're just about to find out where the lovely Margot Lane is being held captive when thunderstorm outside interferes with the AM signal, and all you hear is... Was this part of the Shadow's plan? How will you ever find out where she is in order to save her? You don't need Superman or even the Shadow to save the day. You need Howard Armstrong's new FM technology that doesn't have static. Armstrong's invention of frequency modulation meant the kids around the world would never have to miss out on exciting moments in their favorite radio dramas, and parents wouldn't miss out on important news that was going on around the world. With FM technology, the radio broadcast is all clear, all the time. FM gave radio a clean sound that didn't crackle and would be reliable even in thunderstorm. Although Sarnoff tried to suppress FM to save his business, he later realized the necessity of FM and offered Armstrong $1 million for the patent. But Armstrong felt betrayed and refused to compromise his principles. Armstrong's motivation to enhance humanity was at the heart of his work, but a rigid, non-compromising spirit held him back from the fame that he deserved for his inventions. Refused to compromise his principles. Refused to compromise.
No compromise. Baton Rouge, baby.